Hi, this is Chris Heller, Chief Real Estate Officer at Ojo Labs.
And I'm Jeremiah Taylor, Vice President of Real Estate here at Ojo Labs.
All right, so today we're going to talk about possibly the most important thing in the sales process for those of us that are agents and working with leads, referrals, or any consumer, and that is follow-up. You've heard us say it. You've heard me mention it in the Facebook group. Follow-up is where the gold is. And follow-up is really what separates the great agents from the mediocre agents. So let's talk about, when I say follow-up, what does that mean to you, Jeremiah?
What follow-up to me means doing my job. It's as simple a lot of times as doing what I say I'm going to do when I say I'm going to do it. And what that means is when a lead comes in, you've got to try like crazy to get them on the phone as fast as humanly possible because there's life happening on the other side of the line. But even once you get them on the phone and you have that initial conversation, a lot of times, most times the sale doesn't happen in that first conversation. You have to have a system to be able to follow up with people and do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it over a long period of time.
I think everyone watching this knows that. But why do you think people struggle with it? And why do you think they don't do it as effectively as they should?
In my experience, agents tend to like the new, exciting, shiny thing. And, follow-up is kind of like the oatmeal and push-ups of the agent world. There are things that it's really effective, but it's not the most fun.
I was going to say, maybe that's why I don't have a problem with it, because I like doing push-ups and eating oatmeal. So you pick two things.
For the non-robot agents, I think that it's something that's challenging. And I actually think, Chris, a lot of times agents get in their head about follow-up because they're not sure what to say. They're like, hey, I just talked to this person 2 weeks ago. They told me they're not doing anything. Like, why am I going to call them again? What am I going to say?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think there's three things. That's one of them, right? They don't know what to say. The second one is that they don't have a good system or process to ensure that it happens. And then the third is they're worried that they're bothering someone. All right. So they know what to say, but they think, oh, I'm going to be bothering them. Right. There's some fear, some concern, some anything.
Yep.
I also think it's really important. I've always had a definition of, maybe a better way of saying it, a goal of what follow-up is. So for me, follow-up has one of three goals. So every time I'm calling you or messaging you or interacting with you in a follow-up, I have one of three goals. One is to set an appointment. The second is to determine when I'm going to follow up with you again to set an appointment. And the third is to determine that you're never going to do anything. One of those three things happens. So now why is it important to have one of those, have a goal of one of those three things happening? If not, you're just checking in, right? You're just like, hey, has anything changed? Like, that's ineffective. Now, are we by the fact that we're following up, checking in? Of course we are. But we need to have a desired outcome for every follow-up. So if we have a desired outcome of getting an appointment, of determining when we're going to follow up again to get an appointment, or to determine that, hey, things have changed, they're no longer moving, job offer fell through, whatever the case is. Now, in that last goal or that last event, if they aren't doing anything, then we put them on just a long-term nurture plan. But if we have a goal, then every follow-up has meaning.
So I want to make sure we get really tactical. And I think the things that we do on our team are very similar to what you do. And we just add a fourth dimension, which is to get a referral would also be a great outcome. And so to get really tactical on those, Chris, if you told me, hey, you're not going to sell your house until December, right? And we talked a month ago. I would probably call you and I'd say something like this. Hey, Chris, it's Jeremiah. I'm calling to check in. I know you said you weren't going to do anything with your house until December. I also know that things changed and it's been about a month. Is the plan still looking like December?
Yeah, December might even be pushed out beyond that.
Okay, that sounds great. Look, I'll do my job and continue to follow up because it's not your job to remember me. But before I let you go, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask. Is there anybody else I should be talking to about real estate?
Well, I actually ran in one of my neighbors. I think is going to be getting ready to sell their home, but probably a lot sooner than December.
Yeah, that's great. Would you mind making an introduction and connecting me to your neighbor? Promise I'll do a great job for them. And if nothing else, you'll get to be excited about our opportunity to work together in the future.
Well, I'll introduce you as long as you promise me that you'll get a bunch of money for their house.
We will. Well, that way we'll make sure it's going to sell for top dollar, and we'll set the bar at the right spot for yours.
So I love that. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna add that with my team. The fourth thing, asking for a referral. So those are the 4 goals on every follow-up. Now, when do we follow up? I've always operated and taught agents one simple rule, and that is whatever time frame the consumer tells you, cut it in half. So if the conversation is, if you say to me, Jeremiah, hey, try me back in 2 weeks. I'm really busy right now. I'm going to call you next week. If it's 3 months, I'm going to call you in a month and a half, or maybe even sooner. But at the very least, cut it in half. If we don't do that, what happens is far too many times when we do call them at whatever time frame that they had mentioned, there's often a good chance they've already done something. It's too late because plans change. And a lot of times people are more ready to do something than they're ready to let you know they are. So they say, call me in 3 months, even though they know they're probably going to be doing something before then. They just don't want the pressure or anything else, to interfere. So cut the time frame in half. Now, what about the issue of, agents worried that they're going to be bugging them, or, they're going to get mad, or they're going to be a pest, or what? I definitely have some thoughts on that, but I want to hear what you think.
Generally, I think it's pretty hard to be an effective salesperson if you're worried about what other people think of you. But that's also a part of the human condition. And I think that, in my mind, at least, you have to interrogate reality there. And if you come from a place of contribution and like the role play that we just did, I don't know how that annoys or blows up anybody's day. It was a 30-second conversation. If I'm trying to help and somebody's annoyed by me trying to help, it's kind of more about them than me.
Yeah, I agree. I think it lives in the head of the person who's concerned about much more than the consumer. And here's why. I meet you, I get introduced to you, and I'm following up, a month later or 3 weeks later, whatever it is. I mean, maybe for the 4th time, maybe for the first time. I'm probably thinking about you and following up with you a lot between when we met and when we're following up. You as a consumer aren't thinking about me at all. You have your life going on. You got your job, you got your kids, you got your family, you got your whole world going on. You're not focused on me. I, as an agent, am focused on who I need to follow up and So agents understand they're not thinking about us all the time, even though we're thinking about them. So don't be worried about what they think. Are we following up with them enough or too much or anything like that? If you fail to follow up, you lose opportunities, and some agent who's better at doing it than you are is going to get opportunities. So we didn't want to take a lot of time. This is a super important topic, but we don't need to beat it into your heads because you all know this stuff. We hope that you got some ideas and that you think about follow-up a little differently than you did before you watched this, and that you become more effective because the gold is in the follow-up.